Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, I'm sure a lot of you guys know me by now, but my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA, I make videos for NFL. If you guys do play NBA, I've been playing NBA preseason. That's been started off great yesterday, but all these videos, they get posted right here on this subreddit right here called DF Sports. My username's Shook here, and then I make updates with all the news that comes out through the day. You can ask me questions, what that changes for me with the slate. Pretty much anything you could think of, I update on that post if need be. And then if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can do so on Twitter. Here are my handles on Twitter. All right, and then yeah, this Reddit post will be linked in the comments, and then my Discord will be linked in the Reddit post as well, where I have private videos, player pools for cash and tournaments, cores, cash cores, GPP cores. I'm gonna do a large field tournament core and a small field tournament core from now on, actually, and more stuff. NBA preseason, NBA. That'll be linked in the Reddit post as well. So, as you guys know, I show you my results every week to see how I'm doing, or to show you guys how I am doing. And yeah, let's start it off with yesterday's showdown. Cash games did not go well. This is a $5 double up. I basically gained my buy-in back, so I chopped. So, lost a little money on double ups last night. Tournaments, I didn't have DJ Moore, so I didn't cash tournaments. So slightly losing day last night. On Monday night, it was just this was the clear cash lineup for Monday night. It didn't do well, and then what was this? I forget what this was, but I think this was Sunday night, I believe. Easy cash and tournaments. NFL main slate on Sunday, easy cash and cash, and then I think this was Sunday night. I forget. Another easy cash. So it was profitable week overall. Slightly maybe like break even to slight profit. All right, let's get into this slate. So we're just gonna go team by team. We're gonna go everything, and then I'll go over my favorite stacks when I go team by team. And I'll go over like who are cash game plays and stuff like that when I go team by team as well. So why don't we start with the good games? Because it seems like most of the good games are pretty much um, in the afternoon. So I guess we'll start that way. All right, so Kansas City is probably my favorite stack on the week, especially in like smaller field tournaments. If you're playing larger field tournaments, sure, you can play anyone. But right now, I think Kansas City is my favorite stack on the week. It's probably going to be a lot of people's favorite stacks. And if you're playing like small field, single entry tournaments, it's my favorite and it's not even close. Just remember, if you're playing like smaller field stuff, you can definitely eat a lot of chalk. I think people galaxy brain themselves off the chalk when they're playing in small field stuff. But if you're playing small field stuff, you can definitely eat chalk in small field and like get different in like one or two spots, right? Just make sure you're correlating your lineups. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes, I mean, it's a phenomenal spot. They're playing against Minnesota. They're playing in a dome. Super high ceiling. We know they're going to throw the ball a lot. He just looks phenomenal. And if you're playing cash games, I think this week you're probably going to want to spend up at quarterback for cash. So like Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson, I think are my top three cash quarterbacks. So Patrick Mahomes is definitely up there as one of the best. So definitely firmly in play for cash. So Pacheco at 5'7", who I think is a solid play as well. He saw 20 attempts, 150 yards on the ground. Now, last year they weren't throwing him the ball at all. So if they're going to start throwing him like 3 targets game, that adds to his floor. It adds to his ceiling. I don't mind him. He's probably going to be a little bit popular, but another way to get off kind of the more popular chalk in Patrick Mahomes and like Travis Kelce is definitely going to Pacheco, so I don't mind that. I think he's solid. He's definitely someone who definitely can get in cash games as well. As far as the wide receivers, I mean, good luck trying to figure out what they will do. I can give you my favorite, though. I think my favorite is going to be Rashee Rice. It's going to be a lot of people's favorite as well. Snap counts on an uptrend, target market share is on an uptrend. So yeah, I think Rashee Rice is definitely my favorite. So if I were to like stack Mahomes, I think my favorite would be, something kind of like this. If I'm playing Mahomes, I'm always locking Travis Kelce. I think Travis Kelce's a phenomenal play. I think this week in cash games you can go to Kelce, but I think it's more of a pay down week in cash to like an Ertz or something. But I don't mind if you have the money for Kelce, by all means, absolutely do it in cash. So yeah, definitely, probably my favorite stack on the week. Give you my favorite pairing with that stack, and then Kirk Cousins stacks are definitely going to be a lot lower owned than Patrick Mahomes stacks, so I definitely do like them quite a bit as well. One of the highest total games on the slate. Solid price point for Kirk. I think he's very, very good. Now, Madison, it's not the best spot, but I think another way you can leverage off the chalk is play Madison in this game. He's getting a ton of volume. He's playing a ton of snaps. 4 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets. Only have 1 target in this game, but they were playing from ahead. So expectation of touches for Madison, I believe, is in that like around 20-ish range. And he's playing a ton of snaps. So if you want to get different off the chalk there, I think Madison's a great option. I told you guys last week I wasn't worried about Cam Akers at all. I'm still not worried about Cam Akers. Justin Jefferson's a phenomenal play. We know he's going to get 10 plus targets each game, touchdown upside, huge boom playability as well, high floor, phenomenal play. Same thing with Mahomes and Kelce. If I'm always playing Kirk Cousins, I'm always playing Justin Jefferson with him, right? I think Addison's a good tournament play. If you wanted to go there, I don't mind that. I'm not too high on KJ, and I think Hawk, if you want to pay up to be contrarian at tight end, is an interesting option as well. I think my favorite stack, if you want to go for like pure ceiling, would be something like this. If you want to pay up to be more contrarian, could do something like that, but it's going to cost a lot of money. All right, I don't really have too much interest in Zach Wilson. This game's just disgusting. This game's just absolutely disgusting. Breece Hall picking up a ton of ownership. I don't mind it. I think he'll be a little bit over-owned in GPPs, but you can definitely go there in cash. I think it's fine. Reports are that he's not going to be on a snap count anymore. That doesn't mean he's going to go out there and get 20 plus touches. I don't believe that, but I think he'll be in that like 15-ish range, which does make him too cheap at 5.4. So definitely a solid option for me. Wide receiver, I think Garrett Wilson is fine as like a one-off. Like I said, I don't like stacking the Jets this week. Allen Lazard, 3.9 seems priced about right. I'm not going to play Dusty Randall Cobb. And then Garrett Wilson, I think is a fine cash option. I don't really like the tight ends here. All right, I don't like this game for stacking. As far as running back goes, we're going to have to keep an eye on Javonte Williams news. If he is out, Jaleel McLaughlin will have a bigger role. I believe, I forget, my memory is so bad, but very, very good in the preseason. I feel like I played him quite a bit. I forget though. But if Javonte's out, then we'll have to monitor. It's not going to be like Jaleel's going to get like 60% of the snaps. It'll probably be like an even split. But could open up more value here with Jaleel, who I think would be okay. Pretty good play at 5K. Don't love the receivers against this Jets defense, so probably a pass for me, and then I'm not really interested in the tight ends. All right, the other stack that I think is going pretty underowned is Jalen Hurts stacks. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is going to be pretty popular by himself, but like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, not going to be owned at all. Dallas Goedert's not going to be owned at all. As far as cash games goes, Jalen Hurts definitely one of the best plays as far as cash game goes. DeAndre Swift, I think, is a good play too at 6K. Snaps have been great, involved in the passing game. I don't mind it. I think it's solid. And then wide receivers, if I'm playing Jalen Hurts, I'm definitely double stacking him with either, if you can afford that, or Dallas Goedert. Definitely a good double stack. Not one of my favorites, but definitely do like it. On to the Rams. So I think Stafford's pretty good. This Eagles defense isn't as good as they were last year. Now we are going to get Cooper Kupp back, I believe, which is the tricky part of this. I don't know if he's going to be on a snap count or not. We're going to have to monitor that. What that's going to do, though, is that's going to make Puka a good play. It's going to make Tutu a good play for tournaments. Nobody's going to want to click on any of these guys, especially if Kupp's on a limit. you could still see them produce very, very well. So I think Puka and Tutu are pretty sharp tournament plays, especially if you're stacking Stafford. So I do like those both guys for tournaments, especially if Cup's going to be on more of a snap count, which I would expect him to be. Higbee's fine, not my favorite. I think I prefer Ertz for cheaper. I'm gonna lose more money on Joe Burrow this week. Gonna lose more money on Joe Burrow, aren't I? He's got to have a good week. He's got to have a good week, right? 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 No one is going to play Joe Burrow. I played him this week against Tennessee. I believe he was on a showdown slate, and he just did awful too. I played him, obviously. Once again, I love Joe Burrow stacks, and sole reason being he's going to be under-owned than he should be. Solid spot against Arizona, even though Arizona's been good. I don't think he's going to be this bad. I really, really don't. I think he's going to be more efficient. I think he's going to get chased the ball more. I think they're going to have a good week this week. So I love Joe Burrow stacks once again for tournaments. Joe Mixon, I think, is a really good play, especially with T. Higgins. I believe most likely out. Yeah, he fractured his ribs, I believe. There's no way he's playing. Just no way. So Joe Mixon's going to be in line for more work, more targets. Good cash game play as well. Jamar Chase, they're going to scheme for him. They're going to get their best play at the ball. He looks phenomenal. Obviously, you can go there and cash as well. And then we have a value play in Tyler Boyd, who's going to get more work, who I think is another pretty good value play. And then the tight ends are just there for me. So absolutely love Joe Burrow once again for tournaments. Do something like this. And you have a ton of cheap options for bringbacks on this Arizona side. You have Marquise Brown, you have Zach Ertz, Wilson, right? It's just so easy to do, and it's going way, way under-owned in my opinion. All right, Dob stacks I actually don't mind. It's super cheap. We know where the volume's going. It's this. It's literally boom, boom. It's these two guys pretty much getting all of the targets. So you have a super cheap stack here that I do like quite a bit. As far as cash, I think James Conner's a fine play. Not my favorite, not the worst. I think everyone's, if you want like a pivot off like a Shane in the same price range, I think it's fine. As far as cash, I think Marquise Brown's a pretty good play. He's too cheap. I think Zach Ertz is probably going to be one of the more popular tight end plays in cash. He's just too cheap, getting 10 targets, 8 targets, 10 targets. So pretty high on this Arizona team, and it just doesn't feel good at all. All right, let's go for Baltimore. I'm probably just don't love anyone from this team. I don't like the passing game. Andrews is meh. I don't like the running backs. I like Lamar. I just don't like stacking this team right now. So if you want to single stack Lamar with Zay Flowers, I think that's fine. But definitely not one of my more favorite stacks in the week. Same thing with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's basically kind of a cross-off for me outside of Calvin Austin, who I think is another solid value. Another guy that's too cheap, that's running a ton of routes, getting solid targets. So I think Calvin's good. As far as tight ends, nope. So this game's pretty easy to cross off. As far as cash, you could go to Calvin Austin. It's fine. Don't love it, don't hate it. We'll talk about some value cash wide receivers when we get there. In the next game. So New Orleans, basically another cross-off for me. I think Alvin Kamara's a pretty good play. 14 targets last game is just absolutely absurd. Definitely not going to happen again. But I think the expectation of targets for him is 5 or 6. So around, 17, 18 touches for Kamara. Tough spot, but I think solid. You can go there and cash as well if you want to. Don't love the wide receivers. I think Michael Thomas, solid 4 play. It's fine with it. And yeah, let's move on to New England. Basically a cross-off for me. Once again, Hunter Henry's fine, but not in love with this game in general. This game's just disgusting. So a game I definitely do have more interest in. Kind of the same thing with Joe Burrow. Absolutely no one is going to click on Daniel Jones this week up against Miami. I mean, Miami is a good defense, right? But people can score on them. So I think Daniel Jones, once again, is a kind of like Joe Burrow, pretty good tournament play. Has rushing upside, 5,800, good price point. We have some very, very cheap wide receiver options to go with them. Let's talk about them. So we have Wan'Dale Robinson, who saw his snaps increase a ton last week, had 6 targets. He's going to be one of the most popular wide receiver plays on the slate. If you're playing cash games, one of the best cash game wide receiver values on the slate. Love him. You have Slayton if you want ceiling at 4-1. Seems fine. You have Hodgins, more of a safer play at 4-5. You have complete boomer bust in Hyatt. He had his snap counts increase last week. You have Darren Waller, who has been very, very disappointing, but could have like a bounce back week. So I think DJ stacks are actually pretty sharp this week, and then just you can easily afford bringing it back with Tyreek Hill. As far as cash games go, already went over Wan'Dale. I think it's phenomenal. All right, Miami. So, Tua, another one of my favorite stacks on the week up against this Giants team. Tyreek Hill, great cash game play as well. Waddle at 7-5, not a cash game play, but always good for tournaments. We'll talk about the running backs in a sec. Smythe is fine to me. Let's talk about the running backs. So, everyone is projecting that Shane is going to be the lead this week and get about 60% of the snaps. I don't know how to feel about it. I think it'll he got around 45% last week, and they were in a complete negative game script. So I kind of do believe it. I think he'll probably be the lead back this week and get about 55 to 60% of the work, which if that's the case, he was already a value at 6,100 with the current work he was getting. If he's going to get 55 plus to 60% of the work and be involved in the passing game, he is far too cheap. If you're playing cash games, he's a great play. I think he makes for a pretty good tournament fade. I think he's going to be way over-owned in tournaments. But in cash games, you can definitely one of the better running back plays in the slate. Tyreek Hill's phenomenal. Can always go there in cash. And I don't think I'm considering the tight ends for cash. Let's move on to Tennessee. I don't really have interest in the passing game. I think Henry is just always fine for me. I think D-Hop's another fine floor play if you want to go there. Don't really love the other wide receivers. I mean, you can go to NWI. I don't mind that, actually. I think that's completely fine. And then Chig, I think, is a fine play. Cash game viable as well. All right, Colts. So AR, another one of the quarterbacks you can spend up for cash. Like I said, AR, Hurts, Mahomes. I think he's a good play. They're throwing the ball a lot more than people projected as well. So I think you can definitely double stack AR with like Pittman, Downs, who I think Downs is another pretty good value. Another guy that's playing a lot of snaps, getting decent target market share. Kyle Granson, another value at tight end that I think is good. So you can definitely double stack AR. He's going to be a popular option. And then Michael Pittman, I always like. Downs already went over. So, and then I think Granson is solid too. Bring back plays. I think if I'm just bringing it back with anyone, I like D-Hop. I think Chig's solid as well. All right, moving on to Carolina. I think this team's more of just a cross-off for me. I don't love anything. Thielen's fine. He's getting a ton of work right now. Leading this team in targets as well. I don't mind it. I think he's still a little bit too cheap. The tight ends are disgusting. And, yeah. Let's move on to Detroit. So I think you can play Goff. I always like Goff at home, especially. Talking about the running backs, so David Montgomery up against Carolina, who just absolutely cannot stop anything. I think it'll be one of the more popular running back plays on the slate. 20 plus touches for him, and all of the inside the 5 work. I think Montgomery looks great. Gibbs the pivot off Montgomery. And then here is just Amon-Ra's doubtful. We have Jameson Williams back from his suspension. So what that does is, you have Jameson Williams, who is just a tournament dart for me. Guy has incredible speed, so incredible upside. He can also play in the slot too. Big boomer bust, in my opinion. So I always have interest in him. I do have interest in him for tournaments. I think these safer players are going to be like, Reynolds, Khalif Raymond. I think you can definitely go to either in cash as well. So I like this whole Detroit wide receiver room with Amon-Ra St. Brown doubtful. And Laporta is going to get a bigger role as well. I do like him quite a bit as well. I think you can go there in cash too. So Goff stacks, definitely pretty good, especially off Amon-Ra St. Brown chalk. You know, you do, these four right here I'd pair with. Obviously not all four, but two. I think Laporta is my favorite, and then like Reynolds or Khalif, two second favorites if you want pure ceiling. Jameson. All right, last game. No interest in Houston really. I do like the wide receivers once again, just because we know where the ball is going to. It's going to these three guys. Dalton Schultz just isn't doing anything out there. So like all the targets are going to Nico, Tank Dell, Robert Woods. So I like them once again. I think Woods is pretty safe. I think Dell is safe with upside. I think Nico, as we saw it last week, has huge upside. And will also get targeted. So I like the Houston wide receivers once again, point per dollar, but not too high on Stroud stacks this week. Let's go on to Atlanta. Not too interested in the passing game. Bijan's going to be one of the most popular plays in the slate. He's playing like 65-ish% of the snaps. He's hugely involved in the passing game. Extremely talented. Really good for cash if you want to go there. Love Bijan Robinson. The wide receivers, no interest. And then tight end, if you want to keep riding the Jonnu Smith train, by all means, go for it. Don't mind it. Trying to think if I missed anything at running back. I feel like I did. I forgot to go over Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams, I think, is a good tournament play. Absolutely no one wants him because of the matchup against Philly. But he is basically out there for 100% of the snaps. So I think Kyron's a good tournament play. Nobody wants him because of the matchup against Philly. I think we went over... I think Mostert's a good tournament play off of Shane. Zach Moss, not against Tennessee. Went over Breeze. Yeah, I think we covered it all. So that's going to wrap up the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will talk to y'all later.